she is going to deliver level 1 project 4 speech, leadership development path. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to yourself. Toastmaster Binadi, over to you.
Thank you, TM Modi, TM Mahinder. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. First of all, I would like to ask 4 questions from you. You just don't need to say the answer out loud, but you can think of the answer you might give. Have you ever given yourself a present? And what is the last time you went on a solo date? Did you listen to your favorite music during last week? And finally, have you ever been thankful to the universe for the things you have? Yes, I know. Day by day, in our lives, we get busier and busier. And sometimes, while we are always chasing our targets and our goals, we forget about a person. Can you guess who it is? Any guesses? Yeah, we forget about ourselves. Sometimes, while we are always chasing something so fast, we forget about ourselves. But, dear Toastmasters, before we move on our life, before we achieve anything else, you have to put yourself first. You have to care about yourself. You have to love yourself. So that's why we have to talk about self-love. So what is this self-love? Let me give you a quick definition of self-love. Self-love means you have an appreciation. You appreciate and you have a positive regard about yourself. Self-love means you know your worth, you value your worth, and you always care for yourself. Actually, this concept self-love always it is connected to self-esteem and also self-compassion. But let me tell you, we have to be able to identify the difference between narcissism and self-love. These two are very different methods, but in our society, we can see many people get mixed up with these two concepts. Actually, narcissism is having an excessive self-absorption and a self-interest, and it is a very negative trait. But when it comes to the self-love is a positive trait. Self-love means you know your worth and also you have a good understanding about your weaknesses and your strengths. You know your capacity. So, dear Toastmasters, as I first said, in this life, we get busier day by day. And sometimes when we get so busy with our work, we lose the track of time. And we always lack time to protect ourselves, to care about ourselves. And also, since there are so many elders here, we all know that sometimes we always try to protect our loved ones. And we try to make our loved ones happy and proud. In that journey, we forget to love ourselves. We forget to have time, to save enough time to think about ourselves. And also, sometimes I have seen this, even as a teenager, I have seen this in our society so much. People compare themselves a lot with their friends, neighbors, and family. Actually, the way we talk to ourselves is the way we feel about ourselves. So always just try, some people always compare themselves, judge themselves, and they always say themselves that they are not good enough. Trust me, this is not helping with self-love. This always paves the way to lose your self-love. And also, sadly, some children also experience some negative impacts in their families. Some children always face to traumatic experiences and neglect, which always pave the way for them to lose their self-love, which always convey into their self-hatred. So, thus, things like comparing nature, trauma, childhood experiences, like that always affect on self-love. And those things always make a negative effect on self-love. So as I said earlier, now we know what benefits we can have if we improve this self-love. For an example, it lessens our stress. It lowers our stress levels. When you know about yourself and when you understand yourself, when you make time to think about yourself, then you know your capacity. In our lives, we are stressed because we are afraid to face challenges. We are afraid to move forward in life with all those challenges in front of us. But if you know about yourself, if you have time to understand yourself, then you have a clear perspective about how to tackle those challenges. And also, this self-love works as a confidence booster because you are a limited version. There's no one in this world like you. So that confidence you get will always pave the way to be a better version. So now we know how this self-love benefits us and how can we practice it. You can go on solo dates, you can listen to music you love, you can follow a self-care routine, you can follow a workout routine. Just like that, you can always find yourself some time and spend that time to love yourself, to care about yourself. So my dear Toastmasters, I told you what self-love is, how people might lose self-love, and what are the benefits of self-love and how we can practice self-love. So from this day on, always practice a little self-love, and trust me, your loved ones are also going to get benefits from that, because when you love yourself, you are able to see the world from a different perspective, and also you are able to spread that love with your loved ones. So always say yes to yourself. Over to you, Tia Modi.